Welcome to Inherently Irrelevant, a podcast by friends made for no one in particular. Simply put, this podcast covers no specific subject, has no real goal for advancement or improvement, and will likely never amount to anything of value. But then again, who wants to be entertained by crappy soapbox propaganda? So crack open an adult beverage, sit back, and enjoy this meaningless show. And remember, less is more. All right, I'm ready whenever you are.
I think we're ready.
Okay, well, who's starting it?
Good evening, everybody. How's it going? If it's going to sound a bit different today, it's because we're all in the same room. We're not communicating through some fat... I can't do this. Just let somebody else do it. I had this whole thing where I was going to be like, hey, it's going to be a lot better because we're all in the same room.
This is my announcing voice. I am here to tell you that for the first time, we are in the same room.
Why is your announcing voice like Barney? I love you. You love me. We're all in the same family.
That's when you said Barney, the first thing I thought of was The Simpsons Barney.
I sound drunk?
Yeah, you sound drunk.
I haven't had a drink of alcohol in like a month. What are you talking about?
I saw this one thing where somebody talking about like whenever people get really excited about dual wielding like in a video game or something like that.
Well, we're still recording. You want to restart
this? It
shows
like how people react, and it's the image from The Simpsons when Mo has the two knives, and he's like, "I gotta tell you guys, this is really great."
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing where like I caught an episode recently, and it was the one where Homer stays home from church.
Oh yeah.
And I was just watching that thing, and I remember the part where that he makes this weird concoction like of waffles and like it's like rum, waffles, and something else.
It's like I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like waffles, butter,
probably syrup.
Yeah, but it's like he has this.
I think gravy's in it. Isn't it just all the leftovers from the food from
that was what was in it, but there was like
fried chicken. I think was one of them.
No, it wasn't fried chicken.
Maybe that's something.
The butter was in the middle of it.
Is that because I just had chicken and waffles? That I think of fried
That's
chicken.
Are we using this like?
Why not? Why not?
Fuck it, like I'm not gonna fucking sit there and edit it, and neither are you.
Yeah.
I mean, you are, but not gonna put like calories into it, you know.
So are we gonna introduce what the hell this is, or are we just gonna keep rambling?
I kind of prefer like when podcasts keep rambling and then we do a proper intro. I always think that was better.
Yeah. So anyway, this is inherently irrelevant. Possibly episode 1, maybe just another test run. I'm Ramon.
I'm Ken.
And I'm your editor, Aaron.
Yeah, and so
So by the way, it's waffle butter caramel liquid smoke.
Oh, thank you.
Liquid smoke. That was
the weird one.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think he does put like a cigarette on there, right, or something like that. I think so. Yeah. I just remember Ned saves him.
Yeah.
Or the fire.
Throws him off the top.
Yeah, because
he falls back.
I remember that, and I remember how he has those like bear bear slippers. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, what was that, season 3? Season 4?
That was season 2.
Season 2?
That was season 2.
I can see that season 2.
It was like the one. It was the episode right after Streetcar Named Marge.
That's the. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the one where she falls in love with.
No, that's the one where she's in the play.
Yeah, anyway, Streetcar Named Desire, obviously.
Yeah,
no, she doesn't fall in love with anybody.
That's
just the one where like.
She's just more like obsessed. She's doing that, and Homer's like, "What the hell are you doing?"
No. It's more like Homer just doesn't appreciate her.
Yeah,
that's what that one was about.
Yeah, and so
that's back when that concept felt original. Before it felt.
Season 4, by the way.
Season 4.
Oh,
But you were right. It was right after Streetcar Named Marge.
Wow, I was right. Season 4. She got the episode right. That's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So
this is not the Simpsons cast.
Yeah.
That'd be great though.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Once we launch the website, I'm okay with like having as many stupid podcasts as possible.
There's just so many ones.
That's right, listeners. Be on the lookout for my website. Coming soon.
Don't say yours, or else you are going to name it.
Okay, yeah, I'm not going to name it after myself. It's going to be a group of individuals' website.
That should be a poll, by the way. If you're with your group of friends and you had to form something, are you really going to have one of them named after himself? Like he's Bon Jovi? It's
yeah.
How do they not feel like they
Well, I mean, I think what Aaron's getting at, he's more like, not like Bon Jovi, but like Van Halen, where like obviously the talent's going to be all in one kind of components.
Van Halen was the other one I was thinking about too.
Yeah, you know.
Really? I was actually thinking more like I'm Tom Petty, you're the Heartbreakers, or like I'm the boss and you guys are the E Street Band.
Hey.
Yeah.
I thought you would actually appreciate that.
I do appreciate that. Okay.
Appreciate it, but you know.
Clarence Clemens.
Obviously.
Rest in peace.
I ain't gonna be nowhere already, no right?
Okay, so
So anyway, so for today's episode, because it's March Madness and we're all degenerate sports fans, we decided to add that with our deep love of sci-fi movies and make a bracket of what we think are the best sci-fi movies.
we should have done the best sci-fi movies, like the best movies that only appear on like sci-fi original movies. That would have been like,
Oh no.
that would have been an extra.
That'll be a different one. That'll be like, I don't know, a Halloween episode.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have the Sweet 16 settled, and we've sort of put them into 4 regions. The first region is popcorn, so the 4 regions are popcorn, space, future, and then miscellaneous, which is a lot of sci-fi movies can't really pin down to one.
Yeah.
Popcorn is more just movies that were popular that kind of don't really fit in any one category. Like Star Wars is it's a space opera.
They're the pop movies.
They're the pop movies.
Yeah.
There's no real deep meaning to it. It's just bullshit.
Oh, hey.
No, they're your blockbusters.
They're your blockbusters.
Okay, yeah, let's not say that they're not meaning.
So in popcorn, for
Don't
example.
demean my childhood.
Fuck your childhood. Fuck this entire thing where they raped my childhood shit.
Okay, I never
They
said
did
that.
not rape your childhood.
Be on the lookout for our podcast, The Historian's Guide to Ruining Your Life.
You fucking had those experiences, and if you have no fucking skin at all, then yeah, you're gonna be mad about that. But fuck you, you fucking insolent child.
He's pointing at you, listener.
Yeah. Anyway, so in popcorn,
Through me.
in popcorn, the 4 movies are number 1, Star Wars, number 2, E.T., number 3, Ghostbusters, and number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy. And so,
And for all of them, we have to go 1, 4, 2, 3.
yeah,
Face
so
each other.
that's number 1. And then in the next one, which will be Space, is number 1 ranked 2001: Space Odyssey, number 2, Alien, number 3, Moon, and number 5, The Fifth Element.
Number 4,
four?
The Fifth Element.
4. Fuck.
That was my handwriting. I have really crappy handwriting.
Yeah, and then
I also didn't realize Ramon forgot how to count. But
I'm new to counting. I'm a historian.
Woo! You want some Sesame Street? Get the count. It's talking about.
1, 2, 3, bitch slaps.
I saw. There's this recent commercial I saw. It's the Cookie Monster making cookies.
Yeah.
It's like you're
I saw that
watching
too,
it, and
yeah.
you're like, he's a crack addict. He's like a heroin addict.
No. It's the thing where he makes it, and the other part where okay, he makes it, so at least he's not peddling tricks on the street, right?
But when he's waiting.
But then it's that thing where he's just sitting there, waiting for it, he's Walter White or something, just like.
That was a commercial for Siri, by the way. That was weird.
That was yeah, and he's just waiting, and it's when he checks the time, it's only a minute has passed after running around the house doing all this other stuff. And what's the song he listened to?
He was to 3 or 4 songs.
No, he was. I thought he listened to Tom Petty. Waiting is the hardest part.
All right, yeah. So those are the first 2. Then the next one is Future, which it was number 1 ranked Blade Runner, number 2 Children of Men, number 3 Minority Report, and number 4 12 Monkeys. And the final bracket, which I think is the hardest one, is miscellaneous. And number 1 there is Matrix. Number 2 is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Number 3 is Jurassic Park. And number 4 is District 9.
Okay, so I just realized something. So this week, Future, we could just rename Dystopian, because if you think about it, that's all of them.
Well, that's just. I've yet to see a sci-fi movie that was set in the future that wasn't dystopian.
I think that's actually the point, but I think the most jarring thing is we don't have RoboCop.
No, one for me was gonna be, I would say we don't have a Mad Max movie.
All right. So this is.
I would take out Show Me the Man and put
Really, I would take out 12 Monkeys for Mad Max.
I would take out 12 Monkeys for
the Road Warrior.
Not Road Warrior. The one you said.
RoboCop.
RoboCop. Yeah. But see, the thing about RoboCop is that it's the one movie that we didn't know was a documentary, How are we supposed to know that was Detroit? That was just going to be Detroit in the future?
But is that why it's ineligible? Because it's actually a real story?
It's a real story.
It's not fiction? It's science fiction, not science non-fiction.
Except there's 2...
It's called Science Fact.
Yeah, there's the first one, there's the second one. It's but Detroit had it, but instead of, it being cops, it was just football players, The first one was Barry Sanders,
Calvin Johnson.
And Red Foreman, just took him to the woodshed. And then the second one was,
Calvin Johnson.
It was Calvin Johnson, and I don't know who the main villain in that one was, but Joel Kinnaman's a good actor, I guess.
He's actually pretty decent in House of Cards.
He's very good in House of Cards.
Yeah.
But we digress. Back to our again, inherently irrelevant. Just live with
Okay,
it.
so I don't know. I think a Mad Max movie should. I think Road Warrior should be on there.
I can see that. We're gonna go to that third member.
What do you think?
12 Monkeys for Mad Max.
Yeah.
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 Then change the board.
Okay, I'll change it. I'll change it to Road Warrior.
Yeah. All right, and so what we're gonna do.
Sorry, Terry Gilliam. I apologize.
I mean, it's a thing where Brazil could also go on there, but we're not gonna.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Brazil.
Yeah. Again, there was very little thought that went into this.
Did we take out? Okay, so we decided Road Warrior instead of RoboCop because it was ineligible. Because he was.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go with that. Look,
Because I mean,
some of you are sitting home and we're talking about possibly your favorite movie. Just know that we don't give a fuck. I don't know you. I don't ever want to know you. If you're listening to this podcast, you're a degenerate person who listens to podcasts, and I know because I listen to podcasts.
Okay.
You know what the worst part about it is we had a conversation about how if I got famous, I'd be okay to talk to my fans. Like I try to be a down to earth person. And you just went on a rant about how you would hate our non-existent fans.
I thought I would be the antisocial one who would hate the people who listen to us. It turned out it'd actually be remote. But no, seriously. Hey, you know what? Just because we didn't put it in there doesn't mean unless you want us to put Transformers in there or something like that. Then your opinion really. Then you do suck.
Yeah, you suck. If you think Transformers was a good movie, go eat a dick. Like really, just fall on a sword too while you're at it. I mean,
that's too honorable with that for them.
Well, I mean, depends on the sword.
It's like Serenity. This is a good death. He kills that guy in the beginning.
I mean,
I totally forgot about Metropolis. Metropolis was a movie I thought.
Okay, but here's the thing though. Okay, here's the other thing about it. You can't do that because then you start getting movies that you would never sit through, and they would go on the list. And then you get to even gray areas where you're like, does Faust belong on the list?
There's one of the Futurama movies.
No, only Bender. No, none of them do. If it had to be one of them, it's the first one. Bender's Big Score. That's the only.
Bender's
one.
Big Score was not the first one.
No,
no. Bender's Big Score was the first one, and then it was Beast of a Billion Backs, and then
no, that was
Bender's
the fourth
Game.
one. No, third one was Beast of Billion.
Beast of a Billion Backs happens immediately after Bender's Big Score because the tear in the universe.
I just remember I only liked Bender's Big Score. I didn't like the other ones.
No, the fourth one was the best one.
Oh, Bender's Big Score is the best. It had all this stuff from the show that I remember, the heart of it with Fry and Leela and him going back.
Which is the one that has the story about.
And the great stuff with Bender, him being the Terminator going back in time.
Oh yeah, I like that one the best because I liked.
I think it actually nailed all the elements of the show I love, which was Bender being just Bender and having no sense of he's not human, very little sense of humanity.
He's a robot.
And then the Fry and Leela stuff. All we needed was and the dog show. Seymour shows up. They had everything. Best movie. Best Futurama.
All right. Anyways, we're not here to discuss the merits of Futurama movies.
All right. So back to the list. So we're gonna start off with the popcorn bracket, and the way I want to do is 2 minutes for each one, possibly faster. I mean, I think the first one is Star Wars.
It's Star Wars versus Guardians of the Galaxy and E.T. versus Ghostbusters.
So the first one would be Star Wars versus Guardians of the Galaxy. Which one do we think goes first?
Star Wars.
Star Wars. I honestly don't think there's a fair comparison because Guardians is just trying to be Star Wars.
Also, let's just think about the impact of it. Star Wars is we're all talking it's one of the biggest films ever. We all know that, right? It changes how films are, blockbusters, how films are around it, what you do in terms of marketing of it as well, the merchandise aspects of it. Its effect on pop culture is just in culture in general. American culture is the world is you just can't imagine how movies would have been without it.
I mean, look, there's arguably 3, maybe more terrible movies that people watch because the first few Star Wars movies were really good.
2.
You didn't like Return, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So Star Wars moves forward. I mean, I think I want to say though, that Guardians is actually a really good movie, and I think that Guardians. I mean, look cards on the table. I didn't watch Episode 7 because I heard enough people talk about it, and then
we're not arguing episode 7. We're just arguing, I think, the first one.
Yeah, the first one, but I think that Guardians, would capture is the better signifier of what the spirit of Star Wars was.
So that means it should then go ahead because you need Star Wars to be it.
But because if you're trying to capture what Star Wars was, this isn't Star Wars now. This is just Star Wars when it was.
Like, come on, it's so good.
So
It's
Star
so
Wars.
good.
So Star Wars advances.
It's so good. They made a second. They redid it.
Yeah. So,
I still liked Episode 7, though. I don't hear what people say.
So Star Wars with sword, and then the next one, I don't care because obviously because the next one's E.T. versus Ghostbusters, and in my case, can never sit through all of E.T. So
What?
obviously Ghostbusters in my case.
No, I love E.T. Like, okay, the only thing going against E.T. is how Steven Spielberg went back and replaced the guns with walkie-talkies. I hate that. I hate how he did that. It's worse. It's not as bad as dewbacks are randomly placed in Star Wars in New Hope, which is just ridiculous too. And I had a scene with, obviously, of course, also Han shooting first. Not Han no longer shooting first in the special edition. That was
also
stupid and
Anakin
ridiculous.
is the ghost in.
In Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Yeah. But I think
So bad.
I think E.T. captures a really good it's a really good capture of the time. You know, it's like those kids like having that.
That is a great adventure.
Well,
it's a great adventure movie.
It's like
They meet
kids.
they meet this animal, but it's great for all. It's great for the whole family. Like I think I believe that there are kids movies, which are like movies to me like despicable, like no, not like the Minions movies, which is like when you're a parent, you're forced to go there, and you like it's soul sucking to you.
Right.
But then there are family movies, like a lot of like most Pixar movies, or a lot of those '80s movies like E.T. or Goonies, where it's like the whole family enjoys it.
Well, I thought it was more like like those like Stand by Me, those coming.
Stand
of
by
age,
Me too, yeah.
Those coming of age films, and I think E.T. is a coming of age film with a sci-fi element. But I like Ghostbusters too because it's
funny, it's great,
it's a hilarious movie, but for sci-fi, it's probably E.T.
But look, the thing is that neither one of them is actually delves into the sci-fi part of it all. Part of it, I think Ghostbusters does more job of actually being a sci-fi movie. I think E.T. is just a movie with like an alien in it.
Well,
I mean, like what? So great sci-fi is dictated by what question can it ask, and what is the question that Ghostbusters asks?
but I think that can also be like the question. Like I guess E.T. maybe has more of a bigger question, which is about like how we treat other people.
Well, yeah, because it's like it doesn't matter.
Ghostbusters asks a very important question. It asks, "Who are you gonna call?" And resoundingly,
we walked into that one. We walked into that one.
Resoundingly, the answer is Ghostbusters.
I thought the answer to the question.
I think on the merits of that joke alone,
I thought the answer to the question, what was the worst government department? It's the EPA.
Yes.
Cats and dogs living together.
But I'll say this: I'm voting for Ghostbusters. Aaron,
I'm voting for E.T.
E.T.
Yeah, E.T.
There. Mark it on the board. And now moving on to the next one, which would be Space.
2001.
Final Frontier. These are the voyages of this.
Yeah, so
By the way, there is not a Star Trek movie on
We don't have Wrath of Khan, I just realized that too. Take out Fifth Element and put Wrath of Khan in.
Well, it's going to lose to 2001 anyway.
No, I'm fighting for Wrath of Khan.
Dude, 2001
Wrath
is...
of Khan.
Apparently, I'm the most moderate here because I'll hear his argument, but...
I'll make this argument.
I'm leaning 2001.
That without 2001, I think, no other movie exists on this bracket without it.
Can you rewatch 2001? You can?
I can rewatch that. I've seen the movie over 10 times.
I can't rewatch it. I enjoyed the movie the first time.
Was Pink Floyd playing in the background? Perhaps, but yes, I have.
That's cheating. It's supposed to be Beatles for
No,
Helter Skelter. That's.
I thought Pink Floyd was supposed to be play for Wizard of Oz.
No, Echoes is you know that sequence where he goes into the graveyard of ships.
Oh yeah.
You're supposed to listen to Echoes by Pink Floyd.
I think 2001.
Were you high at the?
No, I don't get. I didn't need to be high.
2001.
His experience in itself.
I think
is such a good movie. Its sequel was a solid movie.
2010.
Yeah.
Was it 2010 the year we made contact? I have not seen 2010 the year we made contact.
I think I showed you it, right?
Isn't Jonathan Lithgow in that?
Yes,
John
Lithgow
Lithgow
and Roy Schneider is also in that.
Really, Roy Schneider's in the movie too?
And so is, I believe, somebody else. Really funny.
I forgot who the lady is, but hold on.
It's ridiculous. It's like you're in this.
Oh, it was.
Is...
Oh my god, I forgot her name. It's Mirren. Helen Mirren was in it.
Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren, John Lithgow, Roy Schneider. We're in it, yeah.
Wow, man. It's like a younger Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
Do you guys believe that idea that Helen Mirren kind of looks like the young Helen Mirren looks like Jennifer Lawrence? Like, you ever see those images where like they try to convince you that?
Googling right now.
And like the picture they picked with Helen Mirren is in this movie where she's like in like this leather outfit. It's like in her breasts are like just pushed up. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, but I think
Okay.
that,
Honestly, yes.
That was
I'll be honest.
inherently irrelevant.
It should be 2001, but I really don't. Like,
I think
Okay, I see the I see the image he's talking about.
that one right there, yeah.
There's
But
also the half image.
yeah.
So like,
But to me, like 2001, I know to Wrath of Khan is like it answers this great question, which is about I'm just gonna,
No, so Wrath of Khan
it
is
this
a-
question about revenge, about what like
No,
that you
okay.
can't just leave your problems behind on a planet and hope they never come back.
Okay,
They'll come back
okay.
to bite you in the ass.
I'll actually try to, because apparently I care too much about these things. So 2001 is kind of story about like we create artificial intelligence and what happens when it reaches, like.
You mean it reaches the point where it's like the mission is more above
Well-
than like human life?
Well, yeah, because it's like because the point about everyone's fear about artificial intelligence is that you're afraid because it's a robot. It's too rigid. It doesn't understand the subtleties of human
No,
interaction.
I think that the other thing is that, and I think that one of the things is that, or 2001 is different, is that 2001 again those movies about AI also stuff, but it's also the thing where it also talks about those type of movies talk about what it means to be a human. I think, and that's what 2001 is really getting at, because it's that thing where again it's one of these where you kind of have to watch a sequel to get it, but in the sequel somebody asks they kind of go into the psychology behind Hal, and the thing was like, well, somebody he didn't know how to lie,
But did you guys watch read any of the books? Like
I read
those
the-
are like 3,000.
I read the first two, and then after that, I was sort of like, meh. I always wanted to get back to it, but when you read the thing is that the movie becomes better when you read the book, because actually the screenplay was written first, and then the book was written adapting to that. But the book added so much more that it makes it a better view, because it's that thing where Kubrick lets it breathe a lot. That's what Kubrick does. Is that Kubrick, I think, is the best guy at just getting actors to shut the fuck up and act. Which is one of the lost arts, because people think that acting is just all spewing out lines, but you watch his movies.
So you blame like Tarantino for that then?
I think it's definitely part of the Tarantino thing. I don't think I necessarily blame him, but I think that everybody tried to emulate that style where it's like that in Clerks, where it's like a bunch of dialogue driven stuff, whereas
it's all about like this very meaty dialogue.
we
you
were talking about earlier today, but I mean, one of the things, the creepiest thing about The Shining is that the more you watch those performances, the more you go like, these people were fucking horrified.
You think part of that is also just Jack Nicholson is just naturally creepy too?
I mean, it's not to that, but I mean, you hear those stories of like Shelley Duvall getting fucking a panic attack whenever Kubrick would just walk around her, and you're like, look like.
Because he probably did that stare.
Yeah, see, like Kubrick loves basically treating human like.
We're an audio podcast, not a video podcast.
I just did the Gomer
He bought a webcam too. They all have a stare. Don't forget that.
Yeah,
but,
they're in all of his movies.
But what I was gonna say is the reason.
Eyes Wide Shut. Have that scene?
I don't remember, man.
Which one?
Eyes Wide Shut.
I believe Kidman has that. Does
Really?
that?
All I know is I think two things when I start seeing people in masks like that, like either an orgy's gonna happen or they're all gonna start singing Masquerade from Phantom of the Opera.
You know what reinforced it? What reinforced that thing with the orgies was Da Vinci Code, because they had the exact same thing. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Again, Da Vinci Code is one of those movies that there was a time and a place, and we all read that round. I'm just gonna say.
I actually never read it. My mom read those books.
Yeah,
I watched those movies though.
But yeah, but
I did neither of those things.
But yeah, there's that.
Tom Hanks was in it. Like,
But yeah,
I
don't care.
And the one girl, the woman from Emily. I really liked Emily.
Oh yeah.
What's her name? Audrey.
Don't do that.
Audrey Tautou. Audrey Tautou, I think it is.
I think so. Yeah. But I think.
Sorry, if I butchered that name. I don't know French.
Yeah, I think that it's that's one of those things where that movie stars are the reason about 2001 is that movie, if I saw I saw Gravity. You watch Gravity and you're like, this movie is just like somebody got that scene when
Is it the pod scene?
it's the pod scene, and they just fucking.
Stop playing with the
sorry.
right next to the mic.
Yeah, it's like somebody got that pod scene and just decided to make a whole movie about it, and that's really it. Because I mean, everything about that, I think one of the things that you never notice about sci-fi movies is that everybody breathes inside the helmet. Like everybody has that sound effect of the. That's 2001. Like that.
Oh no, 2001 is very important. It's an important movie, like science fiction in general.
I think it's just an important movie in general because it's a movie that literally just again, it just breathes so much, like literally and figuratively, that it just lets you. It plays with your like you're the one who fills in the gaps, and I think that's one of the true kind of things that separates a really good movie from that. Like I think Alien is another example of that, where it's like Alien doesn't tell you what it is. They don't explain shit to you in the first movie.
We'll get to there. I think one thing for me.
I mean, obviously this is sort of advanced, so we might as well go on to Alien versus.
Well, yeah. So 2001 advanced. One thing I also like is when they throw the bone in the air and it becomes the nuclear the satellite that can launch out nuclear missiles, like from the most primitive weapon to our most advanced.
Right. Yeah.
Monolith.
So 2001 advances star Rathacon. I'll be anyway.
Yeah.
We probably should have put Rathacon instead of Moon, honestly.
I mean, Moon. I mean, I haven't seen Moon, but the thing is that
Moon is kind of like, you know how you're like talking about like a lot of things are like influenced by 2001. Moon is definitely influenced by 2001 because like the difference is that he has a robot friend, but he's never going to betray him.
Yeah,
but
you think that because you have all his robot friend's also voiced by Kevin Spacey. So you have all these like things going against the robot, and like your own prejudices against that.
Oh, I mean, you've seen House of Cards, yeah.
You've seen this is pre-House of Cards, but like you watch Usual Suspects or you watch Seven. You have this idea of what Kevin Spacey is.
Really, American Beauty.
I mean, look, like it's the thing where like Spacey's one of those actors, like it's like Brad Pitt, where like the first movie off the top of your head describes what you're into, like because for the first movie off the top of my head for him is Snatch.
Oh, Snatch.
For Spacey or
no, for Pitt. Not Fight Club?
Fight Club for me.
Yeah. But I really liked Snatch though, because I can't remember which movie I saw first. Like I've seen other movies with him, which I didn't think I thought he was just a pretty boy. Like Troy is a movie I saw and I was like, oh, he's just this pretty boy. Or Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And then I saw, I think, Fight Club and then Snatch. I'm like, this guy's a really, really good actor. Really fun to watch.
I think that, like, again, like, I think Moon is good. Yeah.
But with Moon, it's that you have all those prejudices going against it. It's a robot that's talking creepily. It's Kevin Spacey, and you think, oh, it's going to betray him. He's going to betray Sam Rockwell. And
but that's his, like, only friend, yeah.
Yeah, and he also only communicates through emojis.
Yeah, basically he has a smiley face that.
Or I'm sorry, he talks, but like to show his emotions, it's like emoji. It's through.
But basically, like it's like 2010 where they designed a robot to lie, but he strangely has compassion and he has like other human emotions because he feels bad that he's lying to Sam Rockwell because it's basically his only friend. Mm-hmm. But basically, it's a really good movie. It has a lot to say about. Cloning, like
spoiler alert, cloning and
what it's old. Like Moon came out like the double. I was in high school when I seen Moon.
09?
Maybe it came out 09.
Maybe.
All I know is when I saw that movie.
Yeah, 09.
Yeah.
I saw that movie and Sam Rockwell became one of my favorite actors.
He's fantastic in that movie. Yeah. Also directed by David Bowie's son.
Yeah, Duncan Jones.
Yeah, Duncan Jones is like
Source Code.
That Warcraft movie is gonna be like.
I hope it's good because he's directing it.
Yeah.
Also, I hope if it's good, they'll do a StarCraft movie.
I'm not gonna touch that one. Okay. So, anyways, but I mean, here's the reason why I think Alien goes over because Alien, I think, is a thing where Alien is just a good movie. Like, it's not a good sci-fi movie. It's just a really fucking good movie. Mm-hmm. But I also think where then on the other side of that, it's like in terms of sci-fi movies, it became this thing where like the horror aspect of it is just so prominent. Like, like Alien is like one of those movies that it shows up like on every list because it's that thing where it's not just a good movie. It's also a good horror movie. It's a good thriller. It's a good. Yeah. And it's also that thing where, like, we're asking that thing where does it ask a bigger question? And it's that thing where, it's not readily apparent, but, you get to this entire thing where it's actually more about how corporations try to exploit people and that sort of stuff.
Well, that's the interesting thing we have.
That's imperialism, man. Come on.
That's the interesting thing about 2 and 3 facing these two because they both involve these sort of companies that screw over their employees.
Well, like that's what makes Aliens.
I'm surprised we actually didn't do a robot. We didn't do an AI.
There's a robot later, but what I'm saying is like the thing about Aliens is like so if Aliens franchise is about imperialism, why is Aliens Vietnam? Because that's what happens when basically the fights back. Like,
well, which one is it? Which one do you guys prefer, Alien or Aliens?
I prefer Alien because I like that it's claustrophobic and that it's a movie that is hard to. It's a movie that like you just. Like it's also the slow peel back. You don't know what you're gonna see the first time you see it, and then
you don't see the monster for a while. And just that when John Hurt wakes up after the face huggers on it, and it has that scene still freaks me out even after seeing multiple times and the parody with John Hurt in Spaceballs.
That's true. It happened to him again.
And he says, like, not again.
I prefer Aliens because I watched it first.
I
had a young formative experience with Aliens because it's the first R-rated movie I ever watched.
Yeah, but yeah, I think the Alien advances, and then on
Yeah,
to...
we're all picking Alien, right?
Yeah.
I love Moon, but Alien, clearly.
And then on to...
We didn't have an upset here.
The future.
The future.
Blade Runner. No contest.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, it's
Listeners, Blade Runner is my pick to win it all.
Blade Runner. I look like... Okay, so Blade Runner over Road Warrior, I mean...
We're all picking Blade Runner. I put Road Warrior on here, but that's because I wanted a back.
I mean, the next one, Children of Men versus Minority Report.
That's a tough one.
Minority Report.
I mean, but my whole thing is that I really don't care because Blade Runner automatically goes into the final.
Yeah,
Like, Blade Runner is that strong.
Children of Men is about what happens when people become sterile and it's like you'd assume everybody would back the next human child, right? Like they'd be okay with the fact that there's another human coming into this life. But when people revolt, it's like
I thought it was more that it was that sense of they wanted to control that next human child.
right.
They wanted to control who would be like who the child would become, that make them like their symbol for like they could go for power.
Yeah.
But also I think some people were fighting because they didn't want another human child because their power relied on that there were no more children.
Yeah, right. So it's it's totally about human nature. It's definitely a great post-apocalyptic movie.
Yeah.
But
and one of the great like first the long take.
Oh yeah, totally. But then we have Minority Report, which is more about like an authoritarian.
No, I go with Minority Report because I really like the questions they ask about crime and who commits it. Is it about?
Well, is it a crime if somebody dictates that it's not a crime?
Yeah, and also about trying to figure it out early, but because they stop it before it happens, do they actually? Can they still be punished that way? Those questions.
Right, it's kind of like a free will question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's what the base of it is that it's like a question about free will and whether or not whether or not actually knowing the future affects your decision making process. Because a lot of times, it's I'm trying to remember the main plot is that Tom Cruise's character is supposed to commit murder, right?
But they rigged it. He wasn't actually going to do it.
Yeah, it was rigged.
Yeah, but it's sort of that like thing where it's like it talks about like it's a sort of a kind of weird meditation on free will, and if you actually sit there, like if you actually read philosophy on it, it's very interesting to kind of see that type of thought experiment played out in a movie. But
Minority Report advances, and we're moving on to the miscellaneous. So we have
so Blade Runner automatically.
No, we have to actually have a debate about it.
All right, so let's do it.
So
now.
we have
we have to do.
We have one of the greatest first takes and missteps in our lifetime, The Matrix, versus one of the best debuts from a director. District 9. I'm going with District 9.
Matrix.
I'm going with District 9.
I'm going
Matrix.
With
we are clouding an upset. I am going with District 9.
No, it's Matrix because.
What? Because white people appropriated Asian things into a movie?
We're really gonna go there?
Yeah, I'm really gonna go there.
Yeah, look, I think here's my reason. Here's my reason for District 9 being better, because I think that the thing about Matrix is that it wasn't. It was a sci-fi movie and it had those effects, but I think there was more of an action movie than a sci-fi movie. Because it's a thing where you sit there and talk to people like, what's the most memorable scene in the movie, and they talk about, and what do they all say?
It's a fight scene.
Really, to me, it's the subway fight scene.
But it's still a fight scene. It's not Neo being informed about the machine.
But those are great scenes, though. I think.
I mean, those are great scenes.
But what's the most memorable thing about District 9? It's that
scene, not like how he's becoming that.
No, like
if you had to say a scene that represents that, it's when he eats the cat food, and then he throws it away in disgust because he knows what's happening to him.
Most memorable scene for me is when an action scene is when they're shooting the rocket at the ship and the robot catches it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But what I'm saying is that District 9 is it's about apartheid and it's about what?
No. To me, it's actually okay. If we
also, I realized we didn't put Avatar on this.
No, we're not going to put Avatar.
I did it on specifically because Dances with Wolves does not belong on a sci-fi world.
No, okay.
It's Fern Gully.
Here's
Thank you very much.
thing. I think out of all these movies, when you go into science fiction, I think you said it most about it's supposed to be about it's supposed to answer questions about humanity through in the future or through a different setting.
Yes, through a different lens.
Through a different lens to like make these questions more easier to understand.
Yes.
Out of all these movies, actually, District 9 is the most sci-fi. Or maybe it's just that to me because it's the most current one.
No, because
maybe Blade Runner.
Because District 9 is just like E.T. except we're worse human beings in District 9.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's also another thing. Well,
E.T. you could argue that like they tried to save the alien at least.
No, but that's the point about District 9. We're worse human beings because what it's saying is that District 9 is like if E.T. had 10 more years. Because remember when they first
and there was
see
a lot
the
more
prawns, they're okay with them. They're like, yeah, but they never leave. They never, and we get sick of them.
Well, that's how.
I don't like the racist direction that this movie is taking. We're talking about apartheid, Aaron. I do not want to go.
Well, it's more about like
we're talking about apartheid. I don't like how this is getting racial.
It's more about like how we handle refugees then, which is very relevant today.
I mean, that's the thing though.
I guess I'm actually arguing for this movie now.
Yeah, look, District 9.
District 9 has defeated the Matrix.
But the Matrix, though, I think goes into the interesting question about like robots and humanity. Sorry, artificial. I was going to say robots. Artificial intelligence.
Robots.
Not robots. Robots imply slave.
Honestly, no. I think Matrix, like the Animatrix, was a better movie than the Matrix.
Animatrix is definitely better movies than the. Well, you mean when you say that, do you mean the one about the robots and how they took over?
That is the best.
The first two.
That is the best one.
I saw those when I was younger. The second half when they're just destroying humanity and how graphic it is still freaks me out.
Oh no, dude! You know what haunts me to my
that when they're showing like how the humans are going through like this like it's like a landscape almost.
Yeah.
And then you see the piles. Of gore.
No.
And bones.
You know what still haunts me to this day is that they basically did like the remake of like like one of those shootings, except instead of a human, it was a robot. Remember when they shot like the women and they kept shooting the woman?
Oh,
we thought, oh my god, this is so horrific, and it was a robot.
Yeah.
That was.
I thought they were tearing her apart.
Well,
I will interject and say that that's a scene in Blade Runner.
Oh, you mean when
he's chasing Zora through the thing and he just keeps shooting her, even though he knows he's already got her.
Blade Runner is the best sci-fi movie in my opinion.
So,
anyways, District 9 moves on.
So we'll put District 9, guys.
Hey, you're all complaining about lack of upsets, and then when we get an upset, you can see how mad just because your number one seed went down.
All right, next one, T2 Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park is a better sci-fi movie.
Questions about cloning,
playing God,
the ethics of playing. Yes, the ethics of playing God.
All in a movie disguised to be a popcorn flick.
Yes.
T2
has an annoying kid.
I would say T2 is a better movie because I think that it's the one like.
Well, he was in American History X.
Yes, yeah, he was.
Continue.
Yeah, but I think that T2, I think it's just there's like cloning stuff and all that stuff in Jurassic Park, but I think T2 is more about how people try to fight destiny and the sort of the idea of like it's that they're repeating line you can't
But they do beat destiny. Like,
they don't. It's a thing where they just
they don't in the future.
I mean that movie.
In all the sequels.
Well, sequels. That's judging. That's going off the sequels still though. You have to judge the movie on its own.
The point of that movie is that it's still it's going to happen to him no matter what. He just has to be old enough to be able to protect himself.
But then, like, the
thing is, it's also a really interesting thing where it's actually a story about parenting and how you raise your kids, and it's a thing where how do you impart lessons and morals into your own child? And again, you don't really think about that. Where like I think that the thing about it is, it talks about it's kind of a commentary on system kids that go into the system, go from one house to the other, and now those kids end up at risk. But it's also a thing about how parents can be so kind of blinded by this own weird moral compass that they don't see how their child is weird.
Oh yeah, because Linda Hamilton's character is she's so obsessed.
Sarah Connor, yes.
Sarah Connor, she's so obsessed with the machines.
Well, I mean, it could be religious. It could be so you can substitute that for religious zealism.
Well, it's almost she does it with like a religious zeal.
Yeah, and I mean, look like that.
But I believe Jurassic Park. I think that's their questions are more interesting though, which is like what happens when you play God.
It's not. It's like what happens when you play God because it isn't enough that you're playing God because you assume when you play God you're the only one strong enough to be playing God, but what happens in Jurassic Park is that,
you think you can control.
Newman his mission in the movie is to steal the embryos or like the DNA so that they can just make other dinosaurs elsewhere. Like we don't really know.
Wouldn't he be like Prometheus then in that sense?
No, but
like
you know what I mean. But you know what I mean.
Sense?
Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I think it's a better movie. Like overall, like.
That can't be. It has that
I'm
too.
obviously losing this one, but I'm saying
but
that. I think
those are interesting. I guess I find those questions more interesting about that. What Malcolm says about that. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Yeah,
do
exactly.
It. Yeah. That's very important when he says.
That's why you had a chaos theorist there.
Yeah.
Like,
all right. So
and for him to just be crazy and for try to bang Laura
and an
Dern's
attractive
character.
man.
All right. So now we go on to the next round. Or we're just gonna go again clockwise.
I totally, for some reason now I'm starting to think about all the movies we haven't put on here, like Independence Day.
Oh, that one's shit.
Well, okay, Independence Day would be on the popcorn one, but I'd rather have these four in the popcorn one
it's
than
better
Independence Day.
Guardians is a better movie. Okay, Star Wars versus E.T.
Star Wars.
Next.
Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna go with space fantasy and not science fiction.
All right, 2001. Alien. Okay.
Wow.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. Oh, this is a tough one.
District 9 versus... I think that District 9... I think it's a better movie in the sense that, look, like... The plot to Jurassic Park is a little too straightforward. Like, you know what the fuck's gonna happen.
What, the whole thing's gonna go collapse?
Yeah, it's a disaster movie. It's essentially a disaster movie. And instead of a guy fucking trying to pay a fucking guy to get on a boat, it's a guy trying to steal clones.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think District 9 is more a commentary about human interaction, and in the sense that it's not black and white. There's nobody just doing something good or wrong. It's this idea where it's like, look, like there's a guy who's just trying to be a good person, but there's just also this thing where it's like, look, like on the one hand, you can kind of sympathize with Vilke.
Vicus, you mean?
Vicus. You sympathize with him, but at the same time, he's not you go like, well, he's a well-meaning guy, but he's a fucking moron.
Well, he's not even that well-meaning.
He's kind of a drone. He's kind of company drone.
He's a drone, and it's even heavily implied that he got the job because he married the boss's daughter.
Yeah, but he didn't marry her for the job. He married her because he loved her.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a thing.
But he still only got that job.
Yeah, well, I think that he's a more enduring symbol of that humanity of it. Because that's at the end of the movie. I think that the best shot for me is the end of that movie where he's just sitting there whittling away the flower.
Yeah.
And it's a thing where she finds it and all that stuff. Where it's like, look, like you can strip away everything, but at the core of it, he's still a human.
Yeah. Even if he which is just so like the prawns are just
it's a very little metaphor, I think, and specifically for what the message of the movie is. I think it's a stronger message than Jurassic Park, which is just meant to people play God and all that stuff. Because there's at no point in Jurassic Park that you go like, well, maybe the protagonist is a little bit more layered than I originally thought it was. The protagonists are pretty straightforward. I mean, it's one protagonist split up into 5 different people. Whereas District 9 is like one really, you kind of want to kind of sit there and really kind of think about why is Vilcus doing this. And
I wanted to know though, I've always kind of wondered this, why do they have something that changes them into prawns? I've always wondered that.
Wasn't it supposed? No, I thought it was supposed to do something else, and they just turned humans into prawns.
It turns humans into prawns, but it's supposed to be something that
wasn't it food for them or something?
No,
like
it was they needed it for the fuel.
It was for fuel. It was like I think to activate the fuel line in the main ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in general to use any of the weapons you need to have the DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I say this.
Like, do they use that for like colonization? Like they turn those aliens into
I feel like those aliens weren't smart enough to be colonists.
I think.
Well, they have smart people. They have like
no, but they're refugees. But they weren't.
They were refugees
about
kind of
colonization. Like we won't know unless there's a sequel.
Which they were supposed to be. We still don't have that. So District 9. I'm with District 9.
District 9 looking to busting people's brackets, by the way.
I'm just gonna put 9.
Okay.
So the answer is Blade Runner.
Okay, no. So we go to here. Star Wars in 2001.
2001.
2001.
2001.
And we made the argument that Guardians because Star Wars there's no Star Wars.
Well, okay, I think part of it should
all those Millennium Falcon money shots that you love so much as a kid are because there's the Space Shuttle Discovery money shot in 2001. The entire way that you shoot space changed because of 2001. People don't understand. Before 2001, they were fucking black and white. They were weird.
They had the strings.
They were Doctor Who like.
They were B movies.
They were
2001 legitimized science fiction movies as being serious movies.
Being serious movies, but it's also that thing where on a technical level it's beyond. On a storytelling level, it's crazy. It has a deeper message. Which I don't really think Star Wars has that deep message.
Well, no, Star Wars is okay. So I'm gonna go with 2001, but I'm just gonna talk about Star Wars. Is that it? I don't say it hurts it, but because it's more of a story about good versus evil, it's every hero or it's the hero's journey. It's what Joseph Campbell talks about with the Hero of a Thousand Faces. Yeah. So it's just a tale that's been told many times, but through a different lens. I still think it's a great movie.
I think it's a very enjoyable movie. I think it's great.
It's very enjoyable, but 2001 it's just a science fiction bracket, and 2001 is
but I think the other thing about 2001 is that it's
it's actually supposed to be District 9.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, we did that wrong.
Blade Runner beat Star Wars.
Blade Runner beat Star Wars.
Oh, I don't know. I kind of want... This is a good movie, man. Like...
Okay, but here's the thing about 2001 is that I would say that somebody made...
He's so good at just switching between everyone.
I think the thing about 2001 is that the thing that makes it great is that I recently read a novel. When I first saw the movie, then I read a novel in high school. Mm-hmm. And then later I reread the novel, and it's a thing where I realized why I love this so much is because the novel was basically 2001, but on Earth. And it was Cormac McCarthy's The Road.
Oh!
And the entire idea is that, God, I'm blanking on the guy's name. I know he was played by Keir Duella, the main character in 2001. Bowman?
I can't remember.
Bowman was the name of the character.
Yeah, the name of the character. But the actor who played him was Keir Duella. And I think the thing is that the road is a lot like that in the sense that Bowman has to kind of keep the mission alive, and it's that sort of thing where it's like this idea of
keep the fire alive.
Keep the fire alive. But it's also that thing where I think 2001 does a better job about it. It's like because it's that thing where it's like what is the mission? What is it really? Because the three people who knew what the mission actually was outside of Hal died or were killed by Hal. And so it's a thing where you kind of get into this entire idea of like not just what it means to be human, but also that thing where it's like a weird survival thing when you really think about it. Or is Hal doing this to survive? And then what are the implications of that? Like, do people commit murder to do the same thing that he's doing, basically?
Well, because if the mission is above anything else, then you will kill no matter what to ensure that mission is accomplished. And I think that's the thing
is that 2001, I think, is just so many levels. That it's a thing where it's also like a message that I think is found in other things that aren't even sci-fi. I mean, nobody I think considers The Road a sci-fi book.
The Road is
it's a literary classic, which is that thing where
because of the post-apocalyptic nature of it. So I think some people consider it science fiction, but you never know what actually caused it.
Yeah, you never know what caused it. It's not about that.
That book's so depressing.
Yeah, but it's actually more about.
Have you read?
If you say Blood Meridian, I'm gonna tell you that it's been sitting on my to-do list.
You have to read Blood Meridian.
It was between that and the ESPN book, and I was like, I really.
You should have read Blood Meridian. Blood Meridian.
I'm buying it right now.
It's so.
I'm buying a hardcover right now.
I don't have a hard. It's depressing.
Yeah, but
if you have The Road, The Road is depressing. Blood Meridian is savage and depressing.
Yeah, but look, that's the thing about 2001 is that I found that I think for me it's a thing where 2001 is a movie that is inescapable almost when you look at sci-fi. It's an inescapable thing because I think it's the pillar.
Okay, honestly, I think we all are gonna agree it's gonna be 2001 versus Blade Runner.
Yeah, so
and this is the real okay.
But how is it? Is that they're two completely different stories? Like because they're both asking questions about what it means to be human.
Let's be honest. If we had asked ourselves what was gonna be the final
Blade Runner,
it would have been Blade Runner versus 2001, right?
It's the Kansas and UNC of and Blade Runner for UNC.
Well, okay. What's the
first off.
What's the Duke of this?
What's the Duke of this? Was the anti-Blade Runner?
No, not Star Wars.
No.
Because Star Wars is more about pluckiness and everything like that. There's nothing about elitist about it.
What's the anti-Blade Runner?
Like it has
Matrix.
No, oh man, Matrix.
Pretentious.
Pretentious, yeah.
Come on.
I would say that if you include the sequels in that, it gets even more so.
Yeah, come on, man. Like,
it's probably the Matrix.
Look, okay, I never read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah, that's
but I should, But I mean, I love Blade Runner because Blade Runner is the quintessential to me.
I'm with him.
Here is my biggest knock on Blade Runner, and this is coming from a guy who
I'll be deciding. I can see either one because you've told me a lot in 2001. I'll have each of you do that.
Here's my biggest grief with Blade Runner. And it comes down to one question. Which version?
Oh, we all know what we mean by.
But no, we don't, because
it's the director's cut.
I love it, right? I love it, but it's
I'm
a thing.
gonna write it. Director's cut.
No, because there's an ultimate cut. And then there's director's cut. There's 8 cuts of this fucking movie.
No, but
here's my point.
I honestly thought your question was
the
gonna be
message changes with each cut.
Yeah, I thought your question was gonna be: is he a replicant?
He is. In my opinion,
He is.
is.
I think he is. But they don't die.
They both.
I think he is, and Edward James almost is his handler.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's why he leaves those little.
Look,
I would leave Edward James almost just because of the.
Look, okay, so I'm not gonna lie to you. Blade Runner to me is like.
Okay, but here's my point about that. I just want to make that point real fast. That problem with Blade Runner is that the message changes a lot between versions. Netflix right now has a theatrical cut.
Are you serious? It doesn't have the final.
The voiceover is so grating when you hear it.
You can tell.
But however, it adds to it because there's stuff that you never even thought about. And he tells you it, and you're like,
he tells you it because it's assuming the audience is stupid, and you know what? I don't want to be assuming.
But it reveals stuff.
Dumbass.
Because my favorite one was always the director's cut. I watched that shit.
I think I have the final cut. I watched the final cut.
I think final cut. I mean, the thing is,
I watched the actual
without the voiceover, with the unicorns. I think that, and the dream.
No,
that's the best one. I think.
Final cut. I think is without voiceover.
Unicorn.
And dream.
What's the dream one?
The dream is a dream of horses, but the unicorns I'm talking about the origami unicorns.
The origami unicorns.
He
dream
leaves.
Yeah. Because that's the point. That's why you believe he's a replicant.
That's why I think he's a replicant.
Because how does he know about his dreams? How does he know about that? Obviously, he knows about that because he knows it's been implanted into him.
But see, for me, the biggest reason why I love Blade Runner versus 2001 is because, it's kind of like Apocalypse Now.
It's relatable.
It's really because it's how you argue. It's the same argument. It's like, what is the best Vietnam movie? Is it Full Metal Jacket? Is it Apocalypse Now? Like you could argue.
If you say
but what I'm
saying, punch you in the face.
But that's what I'm getting at. Because it's like, is 2001 a great sci-fi movie because of Kubrick, or is it just that Kubrick was so goddamn great and you love Kubrick? Most of the things you'll watch of him are really great.
Here's the thing about it. I think that
because you love Kubrick, and I respect it.
I love Kubrick, but the thing is that the reason I love Kubrick is we've talked about this already in this podcast, but it's the thing where it's weird to see a guy with mastery of just complete and total mastery of it, and of course
because he's not human.
I would say him and Kurosawa.
Because he's not
They're
human.
also both perfectionists.
But I think that
because they're not human.
But here's the thing about I think about 2001. The thing about the difference is that I think Blade Runner with the versions, the message changes, but I think the thing is that.
Doesn't that make it more interesting though?
But that's what makes it a great sci-fi movie to me, because there's so many. That's what makes Blade Runner the better movie, because. We talked about this when we were talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane. You don't need... Your sci-fi movies are not supposed to be, circular to the point where there's a beginning, there's an end, and everything works out perfectly fine. There is chunks of things missing because we have these questions.
Well, we have questions after 2001, though. It's like,
that's true.
What's going on when he goes into there? Why is he this old man and he's I
think the whole point
taken
of
care of?
It
He's the
is,
fetus.
Yeah,
it's because that's his evolution.
That's his evolution. But I think that's another thing about 2001 is that it's a movie that you can zoom in and zoom out, and it's a weird thing where it's like when you take a step back and you look at the whole thing. It's like Guernica, right? Like the Picasso painting Guernica. Mm-hmm. When you take a step back and you look at the whole thing, it's one message, which is here's the bone, the fucking semen, black box, baby. Never really thought about that, did you?
I never saw that.
It's
painting.
a very.
I was never.
It's that's kind of how it is.
It's a very literal kind of thing, and then you zoom in and you get a little bit more. You get here to the side there's this weird thing with the house and stuff like that. Then you zoom in some more, and it's this thing where it's a movie that zooms in and zooms out, and on various levels the metaphor works.
I feel again.
Whereas Blade Runner, I think, is a story that kind of wants to lead you towards the answers.
Here's another thing.
Because it's a noir film.
I feel like we all knew this was going to be the final.
I think we all knew the final was going to be, but it's the thing where
I think you two knew this. You two were preparing arguments.
Look, Blade Runner is my favorite.
There's a reason why they were on opposite sides of the bracket.
Come on, it's not fair for the final four to start with this. This is the final matchup. But to me, the reason why I love Blade Runner is that Blade Runner, at the core of it, is an action movie. It's It is.
It is.
It is. And
But I don't think that's a problem with it.
But
because-
that's what I'm not saying it's a problem. But that's what I loved about it is, we talk about all these layers in films, and it has these layers because it's like, you have Deckard. Like, Deckard is kind of a horrible human being, but if he's not a human being, he's actually a replicant.
And then it makes sense.
It makes sense for why he's such a terrible thing. And then we also talk about I forget the villain's name, the other replicant.
Rutger Hauer. Roy Batty.
But like, it's great because
Stosh. It's like, I love that. I loved how.
No, that monologue was fantastic because that just sits with you.
In the rain.
It's
time to die.
Time to die, exactly. Like,
not knowing it from heart. I've seen sea ships get blown off the side of Orion, the belt of Orion. I've seen
lights at the Tannhauser Gate.
Part of it is because number 21 recites it in
that's true. That's true. But what I'm saying is that like it's a great movie about like because the replicants get like, why did they run away? Because they're sick and tired of.
Because they were slaves.
Exactly, because they're slaves. So it's a story about like it has layers because then it's like, if you believe Decker's a replicant, then what does he become? He is a slave that is like contracted to hunt down his own fellow slaves.
But here's the thing, though. I think that's okay. Here's the other thing about it is that 2001 is not open for interpretation. It's open to interpretation in the sense of what the message is, but it's like a story that leads you. Like, it's a thing where like, I think the problem with Blade Runner is that it's a little too ambiguous, because I think like one of the things that I noticed, the reason that I don't think that he's a replicant, or that I think he's a replicant who lives for a long time, is that when he's talking to the chief, the guy tells him, you can either be one of us or you can be one of the little people. And it's a thing where you kind of get this glimpse of what a police state it is, and you realize that that's a police state that you live in, and it's a thing where also you kind of go like, well,
he says like you think you're a cop, you're not, you're little people.
Yeah, if you're not a cop, you're a little person, and you don't want to be a little person. And I think that's the thing is like where he kind of talks about it's sort of that it's one of those things where it's kind of again like really great screenplays, like they have those little things, and it's a thing where it's kind of like you're either following orders or I was just following orders, And it's the thing where when she asked him, have you ever retired a person on accident? And he goes, I've never. And it's the thing where you go like, it kind of goes, they go like, you have, like, you're kind of lying. And it's a thing where like, one of the scenes that I kind of was interested in was the voting contest between her and Rachel and
it's Rachel and Harrison Ford's character.
And
Sean Young and Harrison Ford's character.
Yeah, the first time.
But the questions that he asked are also telling about what he's sort of getting at, whereas like when he asks the question like your husband watches pornography.
Your husband sees a nudie photo. He shows it to you. He likes it so much he wants to put it on. He wants to put it on there, and she's like, "No, I should be enough for him."
Yeah.
And it's like, "There's a wasp on your hand. It's growing. I kill it." She just answers it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's another thing where like I also ask questions because I mean it's one of these where the thing about interrogation scenes I think in movies is that they reveal just as much as about the person asking the questions as they do about the person asking them. And I think that and adding to it the case for Blade Runner is that that kind of scene reveals a lot about Deckard and sort of his weird kind of place where he's coming from.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the most things. I think it's one of these reasons why Blade Runner is one of the best movies ever. But.
Yeah, for me also, I guess this kind of shows like I was saying I wasn't even deciding vote, but I do have a bias. I've only seen 2001 probably twice. I've seen Blade Runner about.
I can't stop watching Blade Runner.
I can't stop watching Blade Runner. I'll be honest.
I'm the same way. But the thing is about 2001, I think, is that it's a movie that I think that one of the qualities about 2001 is that you have to. It's appointment viewing. Like you have to sit down and watch it the whole way through. I make this case about this. Like another Harrison Ford movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think to me Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the greatest 5 movies ever made. Because I've never met a person who's ever said that. Oh, I saw that thing on TV.
I actually know a guy who doesn't like any of the Indiana Jones movies.
Well, he can go die. But okay, but
he has the most like nitpicky things about the movies. I'm like,
yeah, but here's the thing about Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'll ask this question to you guys, and I think I've asked you millions of times. When it's on.
Oh, you asked this to all of us. We've never.
I do not change the channel.
Any of the real.
It's always like TNT. It's always like some random time.
USA.
Any of the real Indiana Jones movies. Not Kingdom of Crystal Skull. I will if they're on. I'm watching.
Raiders to me because I'm
Raiders. I will turn the channel for
I mean, it was also the thing where I was debating whether or not I was also
Really,
debating,
I will keep watching.
I was
it.
debating whether or not Raiders belongs on this list because
it's
borderline.
It's borderline. It's more of an adventure movie.
It's an adventure movie. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that I'm getting at with that is that I think Blade Runner. There's that movie, right? There's that type of movie like Raiders where it's like, I'm gonna finish watching it, right?
Yeah.
But then there's other movies where it demands that you sit there from the beginning. Like The Shining is not a movie you cut it halfway.
That is true. That is true.
You do not cut out.
But again, I think that's
that puts
those are Kubrick movies.
Those are Kubrick movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
There's your bias right there. It's like Kubrick.
I mean, I like Kubrick. I mean, like I'll go and say it.
Like for you, I think for you, AI ends when he's like the kid is like looking at
I cannot watch AI because I think that Spielberg fucked his vision.
See, here's the thing. I feel that movie that when it's the shot of the kid just staring at the fairy. No, who's it? The fairy godmother. No, it's the blue fairy.
Yeah.
At the end, he's just frozen over. I thought that was the ending Kubrick wanted. When it goes into he gets the one more day with his mom.
Yeah,
that's the Spielberg ending.
That was
That's Spielberg. Like that movie, if Kubrick had actually done it, would have ended right there with the kid frozen, staring at it.
Okay, so
till the end of time.
I think that we're just gonna leave it at you have to choose because obviously Blade Runner. I'll argue for Blade Runner and I'll concede for Blade Runner because I love Blade Runner.
Can we just take Blade Runner?
Yeah, circle it.
Oh yeah, and we can talk about Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah, okay, but here's the thing about it.
We've already gone on for an hour. Do you want to keep going?
No, we keep going.
Okay, we're keep going.
Okay.
This is entertaining. Fuck.
Yeah, I know it
It's
is.
entertaining to us.
It's entertaining to us.
The rest of the audience is like
That should be the tagline for this podcast. It's entertaining to us.
yeah. Anyway, but I think the thing about Blade Runner, like I think the other thing I love about that movie is that it's a noir in the future.
Oh, I love
and now
that.
it's a thing where it's just an earth-shattering idea. Like 2001 was earth-shattering because nobody ever thought about making a movie in space where it was a kind of
it was taken seriously and
it was taken seriously, no goofy shit.
Yeah.
Technobabble kept to a minimum. And there's a movie that had, like, one of the main plot points is that an antenna breaks off, but you never have that moment like in Star Trek where you go blah 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 blah. It's like the antenna broke, we can't communicate with Earth.
Yeah.
That's the extent of it. You're like, well, yeah.
It asks serious questions.
This is a lay guy here, and he's fucking totally getting what you're saying right now. You know?
Although it is a movie that's hard to first watch because it's like the first 20 minutes you're just watching a bunch of Australopithecus banging, banging bones on the
I think that's the other thing too. It's like because I've said this that I love movies that challenge the viewer. I fucking love that shit. I love when a movie doesn't take you as an idiot and fucking just immediately gives you something complex. Because I love that. I love that. Like I think when I first saw The Unusual Suspects, because of course I grew up after it came out. I fucking knew what the twist was.
Yeah.
But it's the thing where you then try to figure out where are the holes in the story, what's going on. I have to figure out exactly because I knew that he was Kaiser Soze.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say spoiler alert. It's fucking
Kevin Spacey is Kaiser Soze.
It's been like over 20 years.
If you haven't seen it, it's your fault.
But I mean, the thing where because it's one of those movies again, another movie you can watch over again, but you have to watch from the beginning. Unusual Suspects, because you try to figure out.
Usual Suspects.
I love The Usual Suspects.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
And like that, he was gone.
Yeah,
greatest lie the devil.
It's the greatest lie that he didn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, but that's sort of what I'm getting at is that like there's so much of that, but on the other side, I like movies that challenge you. But like I like that shit. I like challenge movies. Like
it was a tough one to go to these two.
It was
but
tough.
We all knew.
Oh, we kind of knew that's what it was gonna end.
Like, was there any movie here that if we look back at it, would we take out? I would rearrange some stuff. Like Wrath of Khan, I'd put into popcorn.
No, because it was before Abrams decided to make them action movies.
But I think Wrath of Khan is still kind of an action movie when they have that space fight in the
yeah, but that came like at.
But there's a lot more philosophical. I mean, I didn't say it because I don't want to help your case, but like Wrath of Khan's about genocide. Like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but it's about Nazism. That's what that movie's about. Khan is a fucking Nazi. Like he wants to kill people and make his own.
Was a Nazi race. Because he finally he makes a superior race, but it's the question about the Nazis were wrong. But he is technically right. He is technically a more superior race. Like that's the whole reason why they maroon him on that planet, because they already tell him in the episode, this planet is basically inhabitable. You can't terraform this. There's nothing you do. And he takes that as like you dare challenge the perfect man. Like I'm gonna do it. And then Wrath of Khan was like that. No, they were right. It was impossible, and you're just wrong. Yeah. And then he kind of internalizes it. He blames Kirk.
Yeah. He blames Kirk for his wife's death.
Exactly. In spite of the fact that Kirk told him from day one, like, there's nothing, this is why you don't choose this planet. Like, but, I mean, I love Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan is the best Star Trek movie.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that like
Undiscovered Country is the second best.
Yeah, like
the Cold War
because
analogy.
me and Aaron went to go see it. You saw it too. You saw 10 Cloverfield Lane, right?
Yes, I saw 10 Cloverfield Lane.
So we all saw it, and it's a thing where I liked the movie a lot, and I had some reservations, but they were more just sort of like they were like nitpicky shit that I'll admit this nitpicky shit that doesn't really affect whether or not you like the movie.
Yeah,
I loved it. I particularly love John Goodman, who like is secretly having like he was always a good actor, but he's getting to that upper echelon now.
There's a 538 article about like that they say he's the greatest character actor that we've ever had.
Yeah, because it's that thing where like it was such an unsettling performance, and it was just
it was
grindy. It was a grinder.
Yeah, that's what I liked about the tagline for the movie, which is "Monsters come in many forms." He is a monster, but like he is possessive, he is abusive. Everything he does is what abusive people do.
He's entirely in a movie with fucking aliens.
Yeah.
The most dangerous thing is just a human being.
Yeah, that's why, like to me, you watch that movie.
The most dangerous game in the earth.
Like, I almost feel like Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, when she, like, while she says, "Oh, come on," about the aliens, you notice that's like for her, that's way more easy to challenge than John Goodman's the possessive, abusive character he was. I mean, you can see that he has no respect for her. That scene when they're playing Taboo, and he cannot bring himself to say. Woman.
I think
was women he's supposed to say. It's Little Women, but he can't bring himself to say that she's a grown woman.
But what it is that it's that weird thing because we're talking about this. Like when I first watched it, I assumed he was a pedophile, but later I think it's because he lost his daughter, and that's what he really wanted is to recapture. That's why he abducted that girl and claimed that was his daughter was because
it was like Beth was her name or something like that.
Whatever the hell that like podunk girl's name was. But
he abducted her but
we don't know what he did with her.
What I also think adds to his character though is that he was right. That's the even creepier part.
But that's
no. I don't think that he was right. I think it's the thing where he was like, look like
he was right about what happened to the surface.
Not that. It was that it was fucking insane that he was prepared for it. And I think the whole point of that was sort of play out things that look like the type of people who prepare for this shit are not good people. The type of person who prepares for a war is not the person you want to be stuck in a bunker with because that guy's fucking crazy.
And that's why he survives. And that's why he's the ultimate survivalist because he doesn't have those hang-ups, like those human hang-ups.
Yeah.
And really, I think...
I mean, look like it's a thing where we don't live in like, the Cold War, but like if you knew the guy, and my money on the table would be, if you knew the motherfucker in the neighborhood who built the bomb shelter, that was the creepy guy who you told your kids, don't play with
that guy because that guy, you would be afraid that guy would kidnap your kids.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, he kidnapped somebody's kid.
Because your belief in that is that they must obviously want that because they're preparing for it because they cannot live in current society.
Well,
I think there's that too. But I think the story of the theme it's getting at is that people, modern people. I think it's because I told them it's a movie that can only be made now because it's a movie that's about just irrational fear. Mm-hmm. And sort of irrational fear and rational fear, what's the thing where it's like, look, like she had a hang-up about him, like from the get-go, going, this guy is that's a very irrational fear. But everybody else treated it like an irrational fear. Like Emmett treated it as an irrational fear too. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, where it's all about their own different types of irrational fears and how they overcome them. Mm-hmm. Because her irrational fear is that she just never sticks up because she was abused as a child. His thing was that he didn't go to college because
he had such low self-esteem. That was what it was.
And Howard was that he just lost his daughter. Mm-hmm. I think the other thing is that it's kind of like one of those more subtle things. Was like he spent his entire life in the Navy building satellite shit, and then he came home and realized there's fucking nothing for me. Like they don't love me. Like his daughter ran away or left him or whatever. And I think that's what things is where like it's a movie that plays on those irrational fears and also plays on how we act on those fears and also It plays with the entire possessive nature of stuff because she is possessive in her own way. Like she manipulates Emmett.
Oh yeah, because she she realizes I can use him to help me get out of here.
I mean, one of the things is that when you're.
But she doesn't then care for him at the end. Like she is distraught.
No, she did like Emmett as a person.
She did like him.
But the whole point of that movie was Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character
Michelle.
kind of struggling with.
I went through your bag. I saved your life. It's the last thing I can do.
I think it's acceptable.
No.
That was like John Goodman. It was terrible.
I was thinking about I noticed this throughout the whole conversation. You say the characters' names. I try to say the actors' names. Is there any reason why?
I think that that's sort of for me. It's a compliment for an actor, where you recognize the name instead of the actor. Because I love to me my favorite actors with people disappear roles. Like I tell people, it's like you don't notice that Christian Bale's playing Batman, even though he says he didn't like the performance, or you don't notice that he's Patrick Bateman. You just you know there's him, or like Jake Gyllenhaal. When you watch Nightcrawler, you're like, that guy is not fucking. I've seen. This is not Donnie Darko. This is completely different.
I say it because for me, I think people don't remember character names as well.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like it's easier if I say people recognize stars, and even if they are like they go into that role, it's still tough for them to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also a thing too where I come from I'm more I like the character studies. I'm a big fan of character studies, and I love the idea that somebody made up. It's like I tell people like look, one of the things is that I haven't seen a bad movie in a theater in a long ass fucking time.
Last bad movie you saw in the theater? Because I
can't remember.
I have two.
I know what it is. Sequel to Garfield.
I have two worse. I have a worse one. I have the worst one, I think, and I have another one which maybe what. So the two I can think of: Alexander.
Okay.
Dragon Wars.
I think the sequel to Garfield's worse.
No, have you seen Dragon Wars? That movie
I know what you're talking about.
Awful.
All right. For me,
the sequel to Garfield. A Tale of Two Cats.
Okay, maybe that one's better because like Dragon Wars at least has good effects. It's still a movie.
I'm not debating that. Like, let's not masquerade this as that.
I can't think of a movie I saw that was shitty because I don't think usually for me, I don't go to movies when they come out. And if I do, they usually usually goes like the movie that came out because I think 10 Cloverfield opened this weekend, right?
Last weekend.
Okay, so then the only movie I've ever seen come out on opening weekend would be Inception.
That was the last movie you saw.
So usually when I go to the theater, it's because I know the movie's gonna be good.
I watched.
We didn't have Inception on here. I could have been miscellaneous.
You want to knock one of those four off?
No, that's.
It doesn't matter.
No, or popcorn.
It doesn't matter because it wouldn't have won.
It wouldn't have won.
Yeah, I would have preferred other movies.
Yeah, and it's bullshit. Any wouldn't have won.
No. Have you heard this? The theories about it his totem isn't the top. It's his wedding ring. It's his wedding ring because there's certain scenes where he's wearing it and he's not, and that tells.
Because in his fantasy he's still married, but in reality he's not.
So I found that one more.
That's
one of my favorite film theories.
All I know is that if
oh my god.
Jon Snow is not the son of. It's not the product of the rape of Lyanna Stark by Rhaegar.
It's not rape. It was. That's what everyone thought it was.
Like, that's this question.
Because the bigger shock isn't that he raped her and kidnapped her. It's that
this fucking.
The bigger shock is that they actually loved each other.
I think
that is the bigger shock.
Well, my question is then: if it had been the product of rape, would Eddard Stark have really kept the child alive, or would he really care?
Why would Eddard Stark hide it?
He's a Stark. Because Robert would have killed him.
Yeah, but why would he hide it from his wife?
Why would he care?
Why would he accept? Why would the purest man in all of Winterfell accept that he had a moment of weakness, a whore, brought this kid back? If he didn't have a really great reason for it.
Because he...
I can understand maybe it's rape
because it's a thing where...
Because Lyanna asked him...
But I think that's the thing too, where like he's the only character who people would have bought it from. Because it's a thing where they go, look, like if... It's a thing where his integrity is what keeps the kid alive. It's also a thing where it's like the only reason that Catelyn doesn't have the kid killed is that it's like, look, it's Ned's bastard, and Ned is, the most incorruptible person, and even he can be corrupted.
But do you think she would have been fine if it had actually been his his niece, his nephew?
I don't think.
Yes.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think she would have been fine with that.
Because remember,
Robert would have killed him.
But no, she doesn't have to tell Robert.
She wouldn't have told Robert.
But they would have gotten out. But the whole point is that Ed
what
is
is
so
this conversation is going to be so useless if R plus L equals J is not the real thing.
Okay, let's just not talk about it then, because it's obviously...
Anyways, the point is...
Blade Runner is the best science fiction movie.
Okay, so what I was getting at...
It's worth a watch.
It is a great movie, but
Blade Runner 2, how do you think it's going to be? Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, the guy who directed Sicario? How is that going to be?
Don't
tempt me, bro.
Don't trigger me, bro. But So what I was getting at earlier about Michelle Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character.
Actually, I heard it pronounced as Winstead. Oh, wait, now I think I'm wrong. It says Winstead.
I say Winstead.
I used to say Winstead. Now
I say Winstead.
I'm a Pokemon. Let me who calls her Mew.
The point is, wow, okay, I like that.
What was that? Like, what do you mean?
I'm a Pokemon.
MEW, Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Oh, God, okay.
The point is, she is
Pokemon.
She is a hot woman. No, okay. Anyways,
the point is, it's great that she was in a great. She was in a really good movie.
She was in movies, period.
No,
But, look, okay, look, I digress. But the point about that movie was about what I really enjoyed about the movie, and this might be my own bull attached to it, but what I really enjoyed about it was the fact that by the start of the movie, it's about how she has like god awful attachment issues because she was abused as a child.
Yeah, she talks.
That's why she has horrible attachment issues. But by the end of the movie, she finally stands up to it, and there's that great part at the end where she's at the fork in the road.
Yeah.
When she hears the radio,
the call
and
for help.
it's either she can continue running away
because
or
Baton Rouge
she
is like
can
a safe
find
zone,
exactly, or she can help her fellow man.
And she decides to help.
And she decides to not only help her fellow man, it's because they're strangers. She would never know who any of these people are, and they could be horrible people for all she knows.
But she
a younger version of her character would have just ran away.
Yeah,
but I think what it is,
and that comes off. I think that only is able to be done in the scene that people complain about, which is the alien fight scene. But I think once she learns how to fight that, because it says in the message, either have medical experience or have fighting experience.
Yes.
She clearly now has fighting experience fighting these aliens.
Look, here's the thing about it, is that it's a movie that's thoroughly about abuse.
Oh, no, there's this great article, I can't remember the Verge or Polygon, about like...
Who cares? We're taking it now.
About why it's such a why that's such a great movie. Like
but
why
it's about abuse in the
possession
sense
and
that
abuse.
one of those things that people don't really talk about is that that abuse, people who have been abused seek out abusers.
Right.
And it's sort of this thing where like fate kind of just does that. And the thing where the movie kind of is, I think, kind of a metaphor, kind of a long thing about like she's now trapped by another abuser, and then but she's trapped with somebody else, and she stood. She talked about like I just stood that first time when the guy was dragging his daughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's that story that's really heartbreaking, and then there's that thing where she then saw the guy get fucking.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is a spoiler cast.
Spoiler alert: Emmett gets shot in the face.
Yeah, and it's a thing where it's like and it's a thing where it's like how abusers change and all that stuff. But I think that one of the things is that one of the maybe it's a little too literal of a metaphor is that her then getting out of the hatch, and then it's a thing where like the aliens are another abuser, but the thing is that abuser that just doesn't know, but it doesn't matter that she doesn't know what it is because she's overcome it and she can now handle it better than she did because she literally got birthed out of a fucking hatch.
Oh, that's another great.
Honestly, you know what the
maybe too literal, but
you know what I think is the greatest strength of this movie is that a lot of these scenes were way too matter of fact. Like a lot of the dialogue was really just on the nose. Like one of the great scenes is the tension scene where they're playing Taboo and he's like Santa Claus and the tension is that he goes wherever he wants.
I know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all
God,
that
that's
stuff.
such a great scene.
I see you when you sleep.
But that's what I mean. It's like that's a lot of a matter of fact things where it's like
or
it
I
might
think
just
we're
be
alone now.
Exactly. I think we're alone now, or was like the "You Can't Get Away" song or whatever the hell that song was.
I'm honestly surprised they didn't start playing "Every Breath You Take."
Yeah, no. But what I mean is,
they didn't play the police song.
What I mean is that like a lot of the dialogue, and I think it might have just been a critique of other movies because it's like a lot of these things, a lot of these moments are a lot of matter of fact. Like the music is way too literal about what's happening, or like when he there was one where it was like so freaking like basically right on the nose, but like, and I'm forgetting it. Like,
fuck. Okay, what do you think about that? Another thing I love a smart character. Everything she does is like, oh yeah, that she's being smart.
You
She's
told me
being
about that
resourceful.
review where like because we watched.
Yeah, he told me about that review too. About like,
it's like you ever was it?
Yeah.
Like
why aren't you doing? Oh, you're doing this.
Oh, you're doing
and that's the thing. It's like that's what I love about her character. She's smart. She is resourceful, and everything that she shows beforehand is played off of.
Here's
the
my
bottle
thing,
of liquor. how she's interested
This is
in
how you
making
write.
clothes.
This is how you write a strong female character. You write her as a fucking human being. Like,
Yeah.
You know, it's a thing where like I get one of the biggest things that drives me insane is people like, there's not enough strong female characters. Like, no, it's just not enough accurate portrayals of women. Like, look, like one of the most accurate portrayals of women is like Linda Hamilton. And,
Yeah, or like the strong female, the strong.
Or Alien.
Alien, yeah.
Sigourney
to me,
Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. I would Mary Elizabeth Weinstein's character is like in that. Is to me, she's in there. Like,
or I mean, because I think one of the things that people got pissed
she's
off.
in that
the
conversation.
Love
biggest-
her.
I mean, you know, Fury Road is that people were talking about. Well, it's like I think the biggest grief was that people. I think the entire thing about it being a feminist movie is like two things. Number one, you never fucking saw Road Warrior because he literally has 20 lines in that movie, and number two, like literally, Mel Gibson has like 20.
Oh yeah,
lines.
he doesn't like Mad Max does not talk.
Yeah, and number two is that
he's laconic. Like that is the.
And number two, the whole point of the Road Warrior series is this guy's just aimlessly walking around in the wasteland.
Yeah. And well, he's in a way like a futuristic Yojimbo or Senjuro, the Mifune character in Yojimbo and Senjuro. He just wanders around and solves people's problems.
It's also a problem.
That's why I love Fallout because that's all you do.
Yeah, but I think that the other thing is that like I think that again just write fucking human beings. Like I think that's the biggest problem is that people because movies do that all the time. But and the thing is that the caricatures of people like masculine caricatures for some reason people think that like that's a strong accurate male portrayal. Like that's a shitty portrayal of a human being. Like just cause you're gonna make them all masculinity and nothing. Like nobody's like that. Nobody in their life is like that.
Well, that's why like I think a great character is also like John McClane in Die Hard. Like he can be beaten up. He's a completely normal human being. If he gets hit, he obviously feels that. He feels that pain.
I mean, yeah,
he has normal everyday problems. He's just a normal everyday guy.
I think that's what at least. But I think that was sort of just a reaction to all these indestructible, like Arnold and Stallone and Dolph Lundgren movie things where it's like yeah, nobody wants to. Like, who the fuck wants to see?
Which is weird because I think in Stallone, but you say Stallone, but you're thinking more Rambo Stallone because Rocky Stallone is very.
You guys beat the fuck.
Yeah.
All right.
Cut me, Mick.
Let's wrap this up. If we all have one takeaway, what would it be? From what we just talked about, Blade Runner's the best. We have determined
Blade Runner is the most viewable,
rewatchable.
I would say I always thought Ramon was gonna say it, so I'm gonna steal it. Just write human beings.
Yeah, right here characters. I think that's the biggest thing, and also less is more.
Take it easy, guys.
All right,
Have a good day.
thank you for possibly listening to us,
Yeah.
and I hope you find it as entertaining as we did. It's entertaining to us, damn it.